The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Gila River, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36992. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start at the front bumper area, where we'll start on the passenger side face of the front bumper with your mechanical siren. Just inside that location, you'll find your PA speaker and electronic siren. There are also 2 paddle latches to gain the access tub storage location in your front bumper load, and in the center area you'll find your unit identifier E423. As we move to the outer edge of the driver's side of the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns. Moving up onto the cab face on the outer edge, you'll find your turn indicator marker light. Just inside that location is your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Above that, an emergency warning light cluster on the passenger and driver's side. And directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the hood release mechanism for gaining access into the hood area. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find a mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find incorporated within the forward-facing floodlight are your identification clearance lights. And up onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the center area is your opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, with the front bumper extension. On the side, you'll find emergency warning light side-facing. Close-up of the front bumper area. And then also let's take a look at the tub storage location, which is also foam capable. As we access the 2 paddle hatches, you can see it drops down, exposing the swivel 1.5" discharge dry deck material inside the base. As we move behind the Pierce logo is where your release mechanism for gaining access under the hood. On the driver's side and passenger side is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper. On the driver's side is where you'll find your recovery coolant, and then also instructions here for tilting your cab. Just as a reminder, make sure everything's secure inside the cab prior to tilting. Also, electric door lock release, remote control, and access for razor lower. As we move to the right, you'll find your power steering fluid fill location and sight gauge. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full side of the apparatus from the driver's side. We'll focus in next on the cab section, starting first with your front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator located in the center of the axle. As we move to the front bumper extension, as we've previously seen, side-facing emergency warning light. In the stepwell area is where you'll find the air inlet. Moving now just up onto the cab itself is where you'll find easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your door lock and latch. They are also keyed locks. As we move just to the side of that is where you'll find the grab handle for gaining entry and exit into the cab. There's also a side-facing camera located directly behind the door latch area. And then also just above the front axle is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move to the rear of the cab area, you'll also find auto eject plugs and also an indicator for that auto eject. Directly over the top window area is where you'll find your side-facing floodlight. As we move toward the rear section of the cab, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator and then also an emergency warning light. Let's move to the body section next. First, let's start out at the very front section. In front of and rear of the rear axle is where you'll find folding wheel chock storage location. Also just in front of the axle, marker turn indicator. Above the rear axle, emergency warning light side facing. This is the lower zone. As we move up to the very top section, you'll find emergency warning lights. This is part of the upper zone. You'll also find 2 side-facing recessed floodlights. And let's go ahead and move around now to the rear section of the cab area and the rear body, where you'll find at the very top a brake, turn, and reverse light. You'll also find 2 emergency warning lights, upper and lower sections. As you move to the very top section, you'll find a rear-facing scene light and also additional warning lights in the upper portion. As we move directly over the roll-up door, this is where you'll find your traffic advisor and then also access for your ground ladders. Also located in this area is a recessed camera, and then just above that, a 2.5-inch discharge. Let's go ahead and move up onto the top of the apparatus, take a few items here. First, let's start with the diamond-plated area. This is a walking surface. It's identified, and it also has yellow identifier tape indicating the edge of that walking surface. As we move around now to the passenger side, same configuration and layout on the body as we have on the cab area. Let's go ahead and move now into the driver's space. We'll first start with the door panel of the driver's space, and affixed to that door panel are safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, and then above that your electric window controls and a grab handle. Let's move downward into the stepwell area. We previously identified this is where the air inlet is located. This is directly above the step area. And then let's take a quick look inside to the floor area. And we'll start with that yellow placard on the vertical surface. This yellow placard is indicating for your organization, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the vehicle VIN number, and then all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid capacity type. As we move to the floor, you'll find your air horn and electric siren foot pedal. As we move up to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic ports, tech module, and display port. You'll also find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostic switch, and also regen inhibit switch. Let's move up to the dash area. We'll start first on the left side of the dash with the 4-way flasher or hazard lights. Also ignition and start switch on the left. Small switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch, and then also a switch labeled panel, which will allow you to brighten and dim lights within preview of the operator. On the right side of the dash, you'll find your OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. As we move up, you'll find the transmission, oil, depth level, and water temp gauge. On the right, you'll find the front air, rear air, volts, and fuel. Located in the center is the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information regarding your vehicle will display above and below the speedometer with tally information. Let's move just to the right where you'll find the yellow diamond. Pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It sets the rear brake. Also, Pierce Command Zone, tremendous amount of information right at your fingertips. See the owner's manual for more information. Allison transmission pad, digital readout, push button, informational note to pump in neutral. Also, we have some additional switches, load manager at the very top section, and then also retarder switch on and off, retarder auto apply, body door locks, off-road traction, and drug cooler. As we move to the right, you'll find your wheel and siren control. This is for your traffic advisor, and then also mirror controls at the top section. As we move just forward of this location, you'll find climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Let's look overhead of the operator position, where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 9 inches, length 33 feet 10 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 49,800 pounds. This also has the 5-digit job classification. If you make any changes, please update this placard on any of the height, length, or gross vehicle weight. As we move to the right, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, opticom, and electric siren. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find an additional switch panel. This has the visor scene master, visor scene spot, visor scene narrow, visor scene wide, driver scene, passenger scene, and rear scene. Also a future switch location to the far right, which is non-labeled. Moving to the right of this location, you'll find your electronic siren control and PA speaker system. Moving further to the right, the module next to that is going to be for your mechanical siren. As we move toward the center of the cab roofline area, you'll find this light, if illuminating, indicating do not move your apparatus. When the light is on, you have a compartment or door open. At the rear of the driver's seat, you'll find your manual cab tilt handle, also a false floor. On the top of that false floor is going to be a 12-volt access bus bar. Just underneath that is where you'll find the siren mechanism head for that mechanical siren. As we move to the exterior, once again, we find that side-facing camera and emergency warning light. As we look down to the front axle, we're going to find Michelin tires and also that visual sight gauge indicator in the center axle. As we move now to the rear section of the cab area, let's start first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we look inside, you'll find push on or off white or red lens lights, your air conditioning unit, which is activated when plugged into Shoreline power, and then also your unit air conditioner. At the base, you'll find at the rear wall a forward-facing seat and then 2 EMS compartments on each side housing LED lighting, adjustable shelving, and also ventilation and dry deck material. As we move forward to this location, in between the 2 rear-facing seats is where you'll find your access for gaining access to the rear section of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. On each side, you'll also find USB plug ports. Let's go ahead and move to the exterior now, where you'll find an additional door. This gains access into that compartment in the rear wall area. And then we're now to the red, which is going to be your auto eject for Shoreline inlet. It's the auto charge, and then also the white for your air conditioning unit. We'll go ahead and start now at the crosslay area at the very top section. There are 2 crosslays located here, color-coded and labeled. You'll also find in those crosslays this warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because those lines coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. You'll also find 2 crosslays located in the lower section. These are also foam capable. As we move now to the notch section, you'll find 2 locally controlled ball valve 2.5-inch discharges. You'll also find your foam fill and auxiliary foam operation. Just beneath that, you'll find a placard indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. That's a warning placard. And then also your override located at the upper portion where the cutout is located. This is for the American flag Eagle Pierce logo inlet. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning placard that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, locally controlled via ball valve, female inlet. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains, and also a warning placard indicating when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. You'll also find the step in the lower portion here does have a fold-out option. It is connected to the do not move your apparatus. General view here of the pump section. We'll start first in the upper left-hand corner at the top. When you've properly engaged your pump inside the cab, this light will illuminate OK to pump. As we move to the left, a warning placard indicating only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. As we move down, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. And then also your Husky 12 foam system specifications and also instructions. As we move to the gray area, you'll find your master intake gauge. Right next to that is the master discharge gauge. In between the 2 of those are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged, and these are utilized for testing purposes. As you move just to the right in the image, you'll find your PCM fault visual indicator. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate so that you can increase or decrease sound level. Also, you'll find your pump overheat visual indicator. Let's move down on the pump panel. You'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharges, red indicating that they are foam-capable discharges. As we move to the left, you'll find your Acron Master Stream control module. As we move just down from that, you'll find driver side scene, passenger side rear scene, pump overheat test light, and also an air horn. There are 2 electronic valves located here for driver's main inlet and passenger main inlet. You'll also find your tank fill and tank to pump located on the left-hand side, and a reel discharge. Just to the right is your Husky 12 foam module. And then right next to the Husky 12 in the red LED indicator here, this is the foam level gauge indicator, indicating full, 3/4, half, quarter, and refill. To the right, you'll find the deluge discharge. And then as we move down, you'll find an electric valve controlling the large diameter passenger side discharge. Fire pump primer, push to prime, air prime with instructions, at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find the recirculating line. This is a twist, not a pull. Let's move down further on the pump panel. At the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. You'll also find a pan door located in the upper right, which we'll go over. As we move inside the pan door area, 2 items within this area. First, your foam fill operation. This lever matches the instructions on the back side of the door. And then as you look down in the very bottom section, your manual pump shift override, which is a protected switch and also has an indicator light attached to that. Also remote here for your master stream device. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left, the associated GPM at test pressure. On the right side of the placard, the associated RPM at test pressure. Governed speed while in pump operations is 2,400 RPM. 5-digit job number in the upper top section. As we move inside the compartment, when plugged into Shoreline Power, your auto charger will activate, maintaining battery charge. And then also you have an air compressor here to maintain brake pressure. It's also connected to the Shoreline Power. We do have a pull-out tilt downward shelf release mechanisms on each right and left side, and also an additional shelving compartments located in the lower section and a pull-out tray in the very bottom section, release located on the lower right side. It will lock into position, requiring you to push the release to return it to its normal position. As we move now, let's go through the section just above the rear axle, where you'll find in front of the axle SCBA bottle storage location or pack storage, and also retaining strap. You'll also find a pull-out tilt downward tray. As we move to the rear of the axle, you'll find your silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move that flap downward, it does expose the blue cap, which is your DEF fill, which has an 8-gallon DEF tank. We'll go ahead and move through the next set of images here for the rear compartment. Pull-out tray in the upper section that tilts downward. Second one also tilts downward. And then at the very bottom section, a pull-out tray release located on the right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the driver's side of the vehicle. Compartments all open. And now we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus. We do have a drop-down ladder located on the left-hand side, driver's side. Compartments open, we're revealing at the very top a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof. Also, we have long-handled tool storage. And then just to the right of that location, we have a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Traffic advisor just below that. Also like to point out this warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps, once again, may be under pressure. As we move to the very bottom, some additional warning. Always face the vehicle while climbing onto the vehicle and never ride on the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion. At the bottom section inside the compartment, LED lighting, dry deck material, pull-out tilt downward shelf, and then also a pull-out tray in the lower section. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full view of the apparatus on the passenger side. All compartments open. We'll start at the rear compartment. We have 2 pull-out tilt downward shelves in the upper portion. And then at the very bottom section, we have a pull-out tray. Let's move to the compartment directly over the rear axle, where you'll find SCBA bottle storage and also pack storage. We have oxygen bottle storage and also bottle storage with retaining straps. As we move to the rear axle, Michelin tires. Just in front of the axle, additional bottle storage with retaining straps. Just in front of this and down lower is where you'll find your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be cautious where you park your vehicle during regen operation. As we move forward to this location, pull out tilt downward shelf in the upper portion, an adjustable tray, and a vertical divider. Just in front of that vertical divider is where you'll find a pegboard. And at the top section of that pegboard, you'll find direct to battery, a bus bar, cutout section with rollers here for your booster line at the very top section. We're now to the midsection, same configuration as your cross lays as you have on the passenger as you do on the driver's side. Let's move down to the very bottom section to the notch area or pump panel area. Let's start first at the very top section. This is going to be the strainer location. Just beneath that, we have some additional information here regarding your cutout for your override for the passenger side electric valve large diameter inlet, which is the American flag Eagle Pierce logo. As we move down, we also have a warning here. Once again, never ride onto the vehicle, and also when climbing on a vehicle, face the vehicle. 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, locally controlled female. And then also an additional warning here regarding the caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. You do have an additional electric valve on this side. It is your large diameter. It's the green cutout here where you'll find a recessed cutout for an override. That's due to the electric valve. At the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Also a fold-out step in the bottom section, once again connected to the do not move your apparatus. As we move inside, just a general view. We'll now go ahead and move around to the driver's side space inside to the officer area. First, let's start with the door panel. Affix to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window controls, door lock and latch combination, and a grab handle. As we move to the dash area, you'll find your MDT mount location in front of the officer position. You'll also find that your vehicle is protected with a supplemental restraint system and airbag. Please be cautious or advised when mounting anything in this area. As we move to the left of the dash area, let's start first with some 12-volt access. These are going to be USB and then also air horn and auxiliary siren. You'll also have your control for your camera system. As we move the top section across here, this is where you're going to find your unit radios and then also your AM/FM weather band radio in the centermost portion. Let's go ahead and now move to the top section of the roof of the cab where you'll find these warning placards indicating this is a non-walking surface. Then we'll go ahead and move into the dunnage area. This is directly behind the cab area. You'll find your dunnage, which is where you'll find your master stream, booster line, additional storage location. Let's go ahead and take a look at the booster line next. At the very top section, you have a manual rewind and then also a freeze tension spool knob on the right. This is the hydraulic reservoir for your Husky 12 system. There is a visual sight gauge and also a fill on the top. Additional covered storage here with LED lighting in this space. Also on the outer edges of the hatch compartment, you're going to find LED lighting inside the hatch compartments and also dry deck material inside the hatch compartments. Once again, back to the dunnage. This is the location where you're going to find top fill location for your water tank and then also foam tank. On the foam tank here, you'll find the warning placard indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the rear section, you'll find two hose bed dividers in the rear section. The yellow diamond indicating the edge of the walking surface. And then the next set of images are going to be that of the chassis and engine area. As we move underneath, you'll find perimeter lighting. As we move to the cab tilt operation, just as a reminder for you, when tilting the cab, make sure that you tilt the cab and apply equal pressure on both cylinders. Once the cab is fully tilted, place the safety bar in position, although do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. This is merely for protection and is not to be utilized as to hold the cab. As we move to the rear section, just behind the front tire, it's where you'll find your access for jumper studs, positive and negative. You'll also find the hydraulic reservoir for the cab tilt, and then also the batteries located on the passenger and driver's side. As we move around to the passenger side, visually in this image at the very top section is where you'll find the reel rewind. Then as we move to the forward body section, you'll find grab handles for gaining access into this space. And this will complete the chassis, engine, and underbody sections. Just a short video with the emergency warning lights on. Congratulations on your new fire apparatus, job number 36992. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire Sales Representative. Thank you and congratulations.